Welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Amber. I know it's been quite some time since I have put out a video for you guys, but today I wanted to do a how-to video. So I'm going to show you guys how I've been making my new item called the Baby Shorties. I do have a product similar to them in my Etsy shop already. They are the Baby Bummies, but these ones are a little bit different. They have an elastic waistband instead of a yoga waistband, and the style is just a little bit different. You can add so many simple characteristics to any one item to make them look a little bit different. So today I just wanted to show you guys kind of step by step how I've been making these. They're super adorable. They're a little bit different fit than the Bummies are. So they're a little bit tighter, a little bit shorter, super, super cute. Both of them have their own unique style. So it's just kind of adding different options to your website so people have the option of what they like most. So I'm going to start by showing you guys what I use and what fabric I'm going to be using, all the different things that I do to make these baby shorties. So I hope that you guys stick around for this video and like this kind of content. If you are new here, again, my name is Amber and I do how-to videos, I do live work with me's, I own an Etsy shop, and I also own my own website. So I hope that you guys enjoy this video. If you are interested in this kind of content, don't forget to subscribe, give this video a thumbs up, and I hope that you enjoy. Okay guys, let's get started. So first off, you're gonna need fabric of your choice. Mine is an organic cotton knit. And you're gonna need a pattern, which you can purchase off of Etsy or any other website that you can buy patterns from. This is particularly called a baby shorty, and I've already pre-cut my size out. Again, if you guys haven't followed me or have already followed me, you know that I like to have all my patterns in acrylics. This is a brand new pattern, so I've cut it out in just some tracing paper. It's the Pellin tracing paper so that I can get these made into acrylic patterns. This is a brand new pattern for me, so I have yet to do that. So that is why you see them like this. But you're going to want to cut out the size that you're using. I'm using a size 9 to 12 months right now, so that is the size I'll be cutting. You will need some sort of cutter. I like my little rotary blade for my little shorties or my bloomers. It just is easier to use a smaller one. Personal preference completely. You can use scissors, whatever you like to cut out your fabric in. You're also going to need some elastic for your elastic waistband. This one is a 1-inch elastic knit waistband. You can use a 3/4 of an inch elastic waistband. Whatever your pattern requires is what you're going to want to use. So that is what I'll be using. And other than a sewing machine or a serger, you're ready to get started. I'm going to be using my serger today. I just feel like it gives it a more polished look, but if you do not have a serger, you can most certainly use your sewing machine. You can use a double needle. You can use whatever you would like to make these in, whatever you have. So the next step is to just cut out your pattern, follow the directions. So you'll see me cutting out one of these and one of the front and back on the fold. And then this is my leg bands or my ankle bands, whatever you want to call them, and I will need to cut 2 of these out. So my plan is to utilize as much of my fabric as I can without wasting any of it. So these do not have to be on the fold, just on the stretch. So my stretch goes this way. So when I get done cutting these 2 out, I'm going to have this underneath left over where I'm going to cut one band out, and then over here, I'm going to cut my other band out. Hopefully you can see that okay. But make sure you pay attention to whether you need to cut it on the fold or whether you need to cut it on the stretch. Always note that, because if you cut it out the wrong way, it will not stretch over the baby's body, and that's a problem. So make sure you pay fully close attention to that. So I'm going to cut these out, and then we will do the next step. You should have what looks like 2 ankle bands or leg bands, whatever you want to call them, a front piece, a back piece, and now I just need to cut out my elastic waistband. And I have made a chart on all waistbands, whether it is for baby bloomers or leggings, skirts, whatever you make. The waistband on the age of a child shouldn't change, at least the way that I make my clothing for my shop. I use the same measurements for every age group, for every age, for every style of different item that requires an elastic waistband. I use the same chart. I don't know if that makes it easier for you, if that was confusing what I just said, but if you look at different patterns and size 9 to 12 is this length, and then another pattern requires this length, sometimes it gets confusing. So again, take it as you want. I make my own patterns for the most part, and I just go off of the same waist measurements. I always have. I've never had any issues, but again, do it however you want. If you want to do what the pattern requires, you do you. It's all about what you want to do. So anyways, I need to cut this out, and I have a chart which I have hung up on in my shop wall, and I'm just going to look at it. And 9 to 12 months for my waistbands are 16 inches. There are some that say 16 and a half inches, 16 and 3/4. But I'm going to cut mine at what I usually do, and that is at 16 inches. So now that I've cut out my waistband, my pattern is fully cut out, and we're ready to move on to the next. Of course, because I wanted to film a video today, my machine that I normally use for all of my waistbands, straight stitches, top stitches, any of that sort, I use my industrial reliable straight stitch and zigzag machine, but that machine is actually down right now, so I'm needing to get that fixed. So I'm going to be using my Janome. This is normally the machine I use for my blankets, but I love this machine. It's been a great machine for me, so we're just going to go ahead and use that today. So I'm not going to resume my last pattern. I want to do a zigzag stitch. This is the first step that I use when doing any of my leggings, or now these new shorties that I'm making, because when I'm at my serger, I don't want to have to get up and make my waistbands, so I just like to have it done from the start. That way it's just ready to be sewed together. So the reason why I like to do this is because I sew my waistbands into my waist after I've serged the body pieces together. I know this is probably all jumbled, but you'll get it as soon as I start sewing the body together. So this is my first step. I like to overlap it just about maybe 1/2 inch to 3/4 inch on both sides. So you can see right there, it's just a little bit overlapped. And I just do a zigzag over the top of that. So I'm going to line it up in the middle, and I got to get this onto a zigzag. So let's see here, I'm going to hit number 9, and that should be fine. So let's just go ahead and do a zigzag stitch. Back and forth. Now I'm going to lift my needle, and I like to do 3 different parts because I just feel like it's more secure that way. So I'm going to go down to the bottom, go back up, lift my needle, and you don't have to take it all the way out. I just move it over, and so now I'm going to go back down the middle part and back up. And now I'm going to cut my threads. And I do like to cut these little strings off just because I am very particular about the look. And there you go. So now you should have a very secure waistband, front, back. You don't have to worry about what this looks like because it's going inside of the leggings or bloomers, shorties, whatever you're making. But now you have a waistband for a 9 to 12 month old baby, girl or boy. And you're ready to get started on making the whole body. So it's up to you on where you want to start on making your baby shorties. I like to start doing this first, so I've already zigzag stitched this together so it doesn't come apart. My next move when I come over here is to grab some of my clips, and I like to part this out in 4 ways. So I put one on where the back would be, and then I just let it fall down so it's even, and then I just quarter it out into 4 different parts. Match these 2 up right here, and then your side pieces are exactly in 4 different quarters. So I do that first, that way it's already done and I don't have to worry about doing that later. I set that aside, and then my next move is to do my ankle bands. So what you're gonna do, here's a trick, you guys. Instead of having to just fold it in half like most patterns tell you to do and serge here, I'm gonna show you, I don't really know even the terminology for this, but you fold it in half like the directions say. This is your raw edge right here, and this is your folded edge right here. So once you've folded it directly in half, then you're going to fold it down in half again. So it's now folded into 4 different parts. So I hope that that makes sense. If not, you can pause and rewind, but fold it over from the side in half and then fold it in half from the top to the bottom. That's how I learned how to do it. And then these right here, all 4 of these is your raw edges, and you're going to serge or sew zigzag down this seam right here. So you're going to grab this corner and then you're going to put that underneath your presser foot. And that is where you're going to serge. That way it's basically 2 steps made into 1. So it makes it very much quicker in the long run. So if you can get that step down, you can use that on any leg bands, waistbands, neck bands, your arm bands, any kind of band that requires a fold. You do that fold and it makes it so much quicker. So let's get rolling. There's one. I'll show you again. Hopefully you can see. I take it from the side, fold it in half over, and then take it from the top and fold it down so that you come up with these raw edges right here. And then you're going to serge the raw edges, just like anything else. You always want to sew, serge, whatever you're doing on the raw edges. So now that leg bands are done, you're going to cut off all of the little pieces. Don't worry about tucking your strings in because these are going to be sewn to the leg holes on your bloomers, or shorties, whatever you want to call them. So my next step is to unfold this, and the way that I've learned how to unfold these is you're going to look in between here where you can see the pattern, and whichever pattern is right side up is the way that you are going to unfold it. You always want to have the pattern facing the right way, not upside down. You want the upside down pattern on the inside, not the outside, if that makes sense. Raw edges facing up towards the sky, and your nice clean edges facing down. What you want to think about is if this cuff, if my hand was a leg and this cuff was on the leg, you want the nice edge to be facing down because this is your leg. This is the leg hole that you're going to be sewing the body to. So you always want to make sure raw edges are facing up and your design is facing the right way looking at it. So now I'm going to grab 2 clips and I'm going to clip where my seam is right here. I'm going to clip right there, and then I'm going to, again, just go straight down like that where my fingers are. I don't know if you can see that very well. And then clip that. That is centered. That makes your cuff even, nice and straight for when you go to attach it to the body piece. So I'm going to do the same thing to the other one. Now that you have your cuffs ready, you have your waistband ready, now you're ready to sew the body pieces together. There's a better angle. Okay, so again, now that you have your cuffs and your waistband all set, they're all evenly marked, I'm going to move those to the side. You're going to grab your body pieces, and I like to lay my back piece down flat, print side up. You're always going to want print sides together or patterns facing together, right sides together, whatever you want to call it. And then you're just going to line it up to where they match evenly. So then you're going to make sure that you're going to sew your sides together. You're going to sew your two sides at the same time together, and then you're going to sew your crotch together. And then that is what's going to make the body. So let's go ahead and do that. So now that your whole body pieces are sewn together, serged together, whatever machine you used on it, as long as there is some stretch, you want to use a zigzag. That way it stretches really nicely. If you have a serger, awesome. Let's get on to the next part. So the next thing I like to do is attach all of my pieces to the body. You can do this in whatever steps you like. You can do one step at a time, or you can do them all at the same time. Honestly, if you guys know me and you've watched me, I do it different every time. It just depends on my mood and what kind of work mode I'm in. So right now, for video purposes, I'm going to attach all pieces at the same time so that you guys can see how to work with it at that point. So what I'm going to do is make sure that the back part where you have sewn this piece together is on the back part of the baby shorties. So you're going to attach it, leaving it like this. Some people flip it right side out. I like to leave it inside out because this is the way that I construct my pieces together. So if you do flip it inside out or right side out, then you're going to have to go and sew it opposite. So the way that I show you is the way that it is with this inside out. So I tuck my elastic waistband on the outside of the shorts, because if you think about it, a way to know if you're confused is pretend like you've sewn this right here on the top, and if you flip it down towards the inside and this is sewn, the edges that you've sewn are on the inside of the shorts, which is what you want. If you had this on the inside of the shorts and sewn it and then flipped it down, the waistband would be showing. So that's a way to check your work. So you always want your elastic waistband on the outside or the wrong side of your fabric. And I'm just going to be doing quarters now. You're going to attach your side seam to the other clip. That's why I like to use the clips, because it tells me where to place it, and they're all in the right spot. So you just go around each one and you just clip it where your clips are, or pins if you used pins, whatever works for you. So this is what it's going to look like in the end when you have your waistband put on. Yes, it's a little gathered. There's extra fabric. You do want that because that's what gives you the ruffled, stretched look for an elastic waistband. Super cute. Okay, next you're going to grab your leg bands and you're just going to do the same thing, making sure that your pattern is facing the right way. You want your pattern, again, to be looking at it facing the right way, raw edges facing up towards the ceiling or the sky, and that is how you're going to put them on your legs. So this is opposite of the waistband, so pay close attention to this part. Because this is fabric on fabric and you want, I don't want to confuse you, but just follow along the steps. I promise I won't do you wrong. So as long as you have this right, you're then going to put it inside now of the leg. So you're going to have the wrong side over it. You're putting it inside. And I like to do my edge right here, where I've serged it together on the crotch seam. I don't like it on the side seam, I like it on the crotch seam. And that is because it hides. You won't be able to see that seam on the outside of the leg. Nobody sees it on the inside of the leg. So if that is inside, you're going to line up the crotch. Try to get as close to the seam line as you can. And then you're going to clip it. And then you're going to go over to the side seam over here and you're going to clip it where the clip is as well. What you want to do is make sure that if this is pulled straight, your seam right here is laying flat. You don't want it twisted. So make sure you're making your serged or sewn edge lay down nice and flat on each edge. Now you're going to grab your other leg and do the same exact thing on the other side. So you have constructed and put together your little bloomers. So now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go over to my machine. I'm going to serge a circle around each of the holes, the waistband and the leg holes. So let's go to the machine and do that. So now that you have sewn all the body pieces together, you have tails that you need to hide or tuck in. You can use a nitpicker, but what I like to use is a wide-eyed needle. It's just very wide. It's called a tapestry needle. It's not sharp on the end, so it doesn't get caught in my fabric. And I just like to tuck it in that way. But again, you can do this however you like. What's easiest for me is I stretch it out so it's not so fluffy. And then I just kind of put it through, and then you slide it through. And then I just make sure I go through the top of, or like in between the fabrics. And then once you pull it through, you can't see where it is. And then that is where I cut off the excess. And I do that to the same way on all of them. I pull it straight, I pull it through the needle hole, and then I like pull it through. You can see the needle going through the top. And I pull it through like, I don't know, 3/4 of an inch to an inch, sometimes more, just depends on where I pull the needle out at. So again, and then I just slide it up, put it through my needle. Sometimes it's stubborn and it takes a couple of tries, but you'll get it, you'll get used to it. Pull it through, cut it off, and you're done. So now, when you go to flip this inside out, you have almost finished a pair of little shorties. So they are similar to my other ones, but the legs are a little bit smaller. They're a little bit shorter. You have your waistband. So the next step is to actually secure the waistband down and then put on your little drawstring. So let's go over to the machine and put on the waistband. I'll show you guys how I do that as well. All right, so now we're ready to sew our waistband down or tack it down, whatever you want to call it. The first step that I do is I like to clip my side seams together, and I will show you how I did that, but this is what it's going to look like. So I'm going to go over to the other side, and you're going to have it facing you from the inside. And then I like to pull it down, matching up my side seam from the outside. You can see right here where it's been sewn together. And I match that up with the side seam on the inside, my serged edge right here. I like to match that up so that I know it's perfectly even when I go to sew it together or tack the waistband down. So when you flip it under, those are your two side seams right there. So now we're going to use a zigzag stitch. I don't like the zigzag to be too close together, too tight. So I like to make it a little bit bigger. So I have my zigzag at a 3.5, and then I have my tension at a 2 because I don't want it to like grab my fabric too tight. Again, I usually don't use this machine for my waistbands. I usually use my Industrial Reliable machine, but it is down for the count right now. It needs to be serviced. So I'm going to be using this machine, but we're going to work with what we got, right? So I like to start on a side seam because it is a cleaner finish. You can't tell where I've backstitched on the band. So that's what I like. So I'm going to go ahead and put this down. Sorry if my arm's in the way. And I'm going to remove my clip because you don't want to sew over that. So once you have that all situated, you're going to basically you're going to grab your thumb behind on the front side and you're going to pull it tight right here, because what you don't want is a bunch of extra fabric laying around up at the top of the waistband, because that's going to make the finish look not so finished. So make sure it's nice and tight up against the elastic waistband, and you're going to start off by sewing right on the edge right there, and then I'm going to reverse a little bit just so that I have a back stitch in there so it doesn't come apart. And you're going to see me pulling from the back. I like to pull from the back and the front at the same time. I feel like that just kind of gives it that like really ruffled look at the end. If you pull from the front, it's fine, but you won't get as much of a gathered look as I desire. So I'm just going to keep going, stop as much as you need to, and readjust. So I'm stopping, pulling. Make sure you always grab the top of here. I grab from behind here and I pull it so it's nice and tight up at the top. And then I also, again, pull from the front, pull from the back. That way you get a really clean, finished look. Okay, you have your waistband all nice and tight up in there. So this is what the waistband should look like when you're done. It's all gathered, super cute. I don't know if you guys can see that angle, but I will show you the finished product when I'm done. Now what we're going to do is add on the little faux drawstring. So these are what they look like, and this is the faux drawstring that I use. It's a flat cotton cord is what it's called. I get mine off of Amazon just because I've looked around, I've bought in different ones, and this is the one that I really like. It's super little, it's flat. I think it's a 3/8 of an inch. It's called the Mandala Craft flat cotton cord, and this one's brand new. So let me find the beginning of it so I can get it out. And there is no length that I've used, so I just basically kind of eye it, and I think I cut it at like, I don't know, 10 inches last time. That way you can always cut it at the end if you need to. So I just cut it off at 10. And then you basically just make it even, like make a little loop on the top. And once you've got it like even like that, I just place it on the center as close as I can. So you can find where that's why I like to know that this is my back. So I just line it up as even as I can, place it on there, right in the center. I overlap it a little bit, and then you just do a little straight stitch back and forth on top of there, and that just tacks it down. So go ahead and do that. Okay, so once you've tacked it on in the middle like that, this is what they look like. And then what I'm going to do is I usually like to tie a little knot at the bottom right here so that it doesn't come unraveled all the way. They do always fray, so that's why you want to have a knot at the bottom. So once you make your knot, then you can really determine how short you want that string to be or how long you want it to be. But look how cute these are. I still need to press them, so let's go ahead and do our little knot, and then we can figure out from there. So there they are, and I've made the little knot and I've cut it my desired length, and I think they're so cute. So let's go and press them. Okay guys, we finished these. Look how cute they are. So cute. So you can give your customer the option to have a drawstring or a faux drawstring, or if they don't want one at all. So you have that option to give them. But these are gender neutral, so they're super cute for boys or girls, which is very nice when you have an item you can do for either or. But I just love the way that they turned out. The waistband is so ruffly. I love it so much. And roughly scrunched. I don't know. What do you guys call that? I don't know. But hopefully I didn't confuse you guys too much during this how-to video. I know sometimes it's kind of hard to explain how to do it on video rather than live. So if I am live and you have a specific question on how to do something, please ask. Don't hesitate to ask me any questions. I am an open book for you guys, so please ask me anything you need. But hopefully you guys enjoyed this how-to video. If there are any other how-to videos you would like me to do, please comment below. And again, if you aren't subscribed, please consider subscribing. And I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. Until next time, bye guys.